Hi, my name is Neil Thrussell, and I'm really excited to have Jay Fiset with me. And I'm not going to waste any of our time doing any kind of long-winded bio and intro. Hello, Jay.
Hey, Neil, thank you so much for having me. I
Yeah,
really appreciate it.
yeah. So, Jay, I've been dying to ask you this for a couple of years now. You ran one of Calgary's largest, and I dare say one of most largest, most successful personal betterment, personal development companies in Calgary, and then you sold it. What the hell were you thinking?
Well, the truth is I didn't really sell it. 6 or 7 years ago, I had a business partner who was a licensee of mine, Rayanne. And when I wanted to go off and do some more entrepreneurial adventures, she took it over. And we sort of continued our relationship in that manner. But honestly, I still deliver those programs. Not a whole bunch of them. Occasionally, a couple in the U.S. a year, a couple here. She still runs the show in Edmonton. I literally just came back 3 weeks ago from running a program there. So it has evolved, but it's not really gone.
So what you're telling me is something drove you to move from that older iteration to something new.
Yes.
And
Yes.
where did you go from running workshops weekly, daily, hourly to where did you move to?
To running workshops weekly, daily, hourly, online, and internationally. Same, same time frame in terms of commitment. Just a few different topics and a couple different continents and then several different countries.
So you went from local to global.
Yes, and that has been a very interesting ride, shall we say? Very interesting ride.
So just on that statement, I'm going, so I suspect life threw you a few curves in that evolution. So what kept you on the ability to move forward? I don't want to put words like, how did you stay on track?
Well, number one, I wouldn't say I stayed on track, to be perfectly honest. Like there's when I I don't know the language protocol, but I'm just going to be me because I can't be anything else. But
Absolutely be
when
you.
there's a shit storm going on, I'm not sure that I completely stay on track. That said, quite literally about 30 years ago, I wrote and crafted my personal mission, and that has, of course, evolved slightly over time. But the reality is this: is that I was fortunate, blessed, however you want to call it, to really get clear about why I believed I was here, what my role was going to be in terms of a larger mission beyond what the mechanics of any, be that shitstorm or, beautiful, amazing thing. Both of which sort of in the big picture are irrelevant to me, to be perfectly honest.
Yes.
I've just always done my best to stay as true and as close to my mission as I understand it as I can. And that really sort of shifts things for me, is that I'm not really interested in the day-to-day drama of the good, the bad, or the otherwise. It's like I'm just doing the thing that I believe that I need to do. And the other stuff is just the mechanical processes that we're going to have to deal with. And sometimes that's pleasant and fun and a beach and a margarita and a Porsche. And sometimes it's a complete not fun and cleaning up messes and figuring out what we did wrong and learning from that process and dusting ourselves off. But both are just sort of irrelevant. That's my perspective on it. And I'm not sure that's in alignment with what we're trying to communicate for you.
Absolutely it is, because really what it sounds like is the bigger picture always took precedent over whatever was in front of you.
Correct.
So because you spent time 30 odd years ago crafting a big picture version of you, it made it easier to stay on target.
1000%.
So is success the same when you look back to the younger Jay and you look to the Jay that's now got a few more wrinkles and kids and all of this? Was your version of success the same as from then to now, or is it evolved and changed?
Oh, that's a really good question. And basically, I would say that it's very similar. It's really, really similar. But probably the most influential changes is that it's complex for me, Neil, and I wish I could just spit it out clearly for you. But the biggest change is having children, and what success means as a parent, and its relationship and its distinction between my boys, how they're doing, what their role in the world is going to be, all of those elements of which clearly I have significant influence, but I sure as hell don't control. And I'm in that, and discerning, which is which and when is when, and what I want for them in terms of how they make their way in the world. That is probably the single greatest evolution of what I deem success to be.
Ah, sweet. And yeah, I don't define success. Each person defines their own version of success.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe, and you probably agree, is that when we are happy, that's probably when we truly believe that we are our greatest success.
I'm not so sold on the happy idea, to be perfectly honest. I think a bunch of us, and I'm speaking North America wise,
yes.
I think a bunch of us chase our tails with this idea of happiness. There's going to be a spot where we get the 2.2 kids, the white picket fence, all that shit. And that's going to make us happy. And I think that the vast majority of humanity, at least in the developed world, chases this external story of happiness to be left somewhat hollow and empty. So I'm less interested in happiness, and I'm a whole lot more interested in alignment and mission. And now I actually think that happiness is and happiness might not even be the right word, but happiness, I'm going to call it at peace. I'm going to call it present. I'm going to call it joyful. At times, certainly happy. But honest to goodness, I've never been a fan of the pursuit of happiness, because most people think the pursuit of happiness is comfort and joy. And the truth of the matter is that and by the way, we can talk about peak experiences and people who climb mountains and people who pursue black belts and people who put themselves through a ringer. Those aren't a string of happy moments, but the commitment to becoming, or the commitment to alignment, or the commitment to testing ourselves in that process leads to a satisfaction or a presence that I think transcends and trumps happiness every time.
Would the word be fulfillment?
I think it can be. It is certainly a closer description for what I believe than happiness. And this is going to sound perhaps paradoxical as well. The idea of fulfillment is I think sometimes confused with arrival. And I actually think that the second that we think that we've arrived, we're all in the downward spiral. So I think we could use fulfillment as long as that had an evolution of an ongoing, as long as that had the connotation of an ongoing presence and ongoing sharing and giving and receiving and all of those elements. But I think for most people, fulfillment is fleeting. That's just my perspective, obviously.
Absolutely. Because as I've gone through, you're the 13th of our 14th interview, and what I discovering, and Jamie, my partner in crime, would say that anyone that has truly had any amount of success is actually hungry. They're content in where they are, but they're still looking. They have a plan for tomorrow. They have a plan for the day after, and they have a plan. It's not like they're dissatisfied with who they are and where they are, but they're being driven, and you used the word mission. They're being driven by their mission to keep fulfilling it bigger, 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 bigger. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I concur. I totally concur. There has to be something that transcends the pursuit of getting and building and buying and the stuff that consumes most of our time, effort, and energy, at least in North American society.
Yeah. So of the 4 Ds, desire, determination, dedication, and discipline, which one do you find yourself, not like you have to work the most to be in that place? Because some of it, like your mission is driven, so desire is just sounds like it's there.
Yeah.
So determination, discipline, which one is it that causes you the greatest energy expenditure?
One more time, please. We know it's not desire. That was
Determination,
yeah.
the dedication, or discipline?
Oh, it's probably discipline. It's probably discipline. You know, I've been a rebel without a clue for most of my life. And you know, I had a coach once years ago who was trying to quote, help me with my desire for freedom and my rebellious nature. And I'll never forget what he said it to me. He said, you know, the path to freedom is structure. And honest to goodness, Neil, all I wanted to do was like, and of course my resistance, you know, unfolds and points the direction to the truth. And so that whole piece of discipline and structure and those elements is absolutely one of my weakest elements, because you know, in my core, I just want to do what I want to do when I want to do it, as long as it aligns with my mission. And there's a great number of examples in my life where, had I been that much more consistent, and if I had put that much more structure in place, it would have made a monumental difference.
Thank you. So one of the things that we have a 5th D, and we call it our secret, but it's really not our secret. But our inner dojo, we all have this dojo that we need to look at after our body temple, our mind, body, spirit. Do you have any sort of rituals that you do to look after your inner dojo?
Yeah, most certainly. And you know, if we go back to the mission that, you know, literally I wrote 30 years ago, just prior to taking over Personal Best Seminars, that was the version that has since evolved. I'm quite an auditory learner, and even years ago, like this is how long I've been doing this. When I first recorded my mission and my affirmations, and I have a little visualization piece that I do with that quite religiously. You know, in the old days, this is going to date me, but I think that you will relate to it. In the old days, it was have the record player playing in the background, the cassette tape with the microphone thing, press record, so that I could have music in the background while I would, you know, do my mission affirmations and visualizations and all of those pieces. Clearly, that has evolved substantially, but I have been really diligent in terms of let's call it a meditation, visualization, and affirmation process that helps me, number one, remind me of my mission. Helps me find my way back when I'm off. And I have done that. You know, I bought one of the very first phones that had an MP3 player in it, you know, and stood in line for it years ago because it's always on my phone. I listen to it when I work out. I listen to it when I'm having a tough time. I listen to it when I need inspiration. I listen to it before I go on stage. I listen to it before I'm coaching someone. And that really is one of my most powerful. And then second to that is I've sort of created a pretty powerful link between that process and my physical self-care. So, you know, I know you've been running a bunch. I've just got back at running with my oldest, or with my youngest getting back into school. It's like, oh, a little bit of free time. But those two things together are certainly my most powerful ways of keeping myself on track and aligned.
Sweet. Don't you get tired of that guy on the phone all the time nagging you?
Truly, I don't. But when it does happen, it's often time for an update in terms of some of the things I'm working on, some of the issues or what I might call challenges that I'm facing, and then we'll rewrite some of the key pieces about how we focus on it. But no, I appreciate the reminders. It makes all the rest of it super, super easy. Now, it's funny because in this conversation, we were talking about the D's earlier and all of those pieces that I really, really enjoyed. The key piece for me is the key piece for me is that there's also a strong design element. Is that, I mean, I have very diligently designed my life and lifestyle in a manner that it provides me the space to live my mission, that it provides me a space to create the relationships that I want, that it provides me the space to spend time on my own personal evolution. So anyway, I think that's also a really big piece of this.
It's amazing that, of the 13 interviews, I think 7 of these highly successful people are all saying, design the life you want. So you are not alone. And it's powerful, because if that's what you want out of life, you just can't go and sit on a rock and go, I wish that this would occur. You actually have to take action.
Yeah.
And those that don't know Jay is a very action-oriented person. He knows what he wants, and he's willing to go and put the energy to it. And he sometimes bumps into walls and things like this, or obstacles, but he just knows what he wants. And that's what I've learned in one of years ago. I actually took, what was it called? Level 1.
Yep.
Yeah. And it was back in level 1. I don't want to speak out of, he had an accountability, a time frame for accountability that you needed to be in a particular place at a particular time for it. And so many people, you could just see them, that it just drove them nuts to have to be that kind of accountable. And it was beautiful, because I'm like, well, if you can't do this simple exercise for whatever it was, Thursday night, so for 4 freaking days out of your lifetime, you could not be this accountable.
It's funny, by the way, when I was in the seat taking that program for the very first time, I was one of those people. It's like, are you kidding me?
And for me, the D that works for me is discipline.
Yeah.
It's like I have a running coach, and he tells me to run on whatever day. I get like on Wednesday, it was cold and windy, and I have a little bit of a whine, but it's just, okay, I have to go do it. Simple as that.
Mm-hmm. It's a big deal. And I think that one of those elements that I mean, you were just talking about your running coach. I was sort of teasing my coach about this. The pathway to freedom is structure, but I do believe that. I mean, the work that I do with masterminds is there's a famous quote by Napoleon Hill, which is, if ever you find yourself lacking discipline to act, to create your life, you must rely on the power of a mastermind. But whether it's a mastermind, whether it's a coach, whether it's, all those pieces, without a doubt for me, dealing with that one aspect, engaging support and the right kind of support and the right person for the right job has been game-changing for me.
That's beautiful, because it's the right kind of support. How many of us, and people that are listening to this, take medical advice on how to get over something from the person in line at you at Superstore or whatever in the shopping, because you bought a particular health supplement and they're saying, well, I take whatever, but they're not qualified. Find qualified people to help you. So let's go to mentors. So, because you're doing a program called Mastermind to Millions. So yes. I'm just going to ask you, so in the quick version, what is the power of a mastermind?
Quite literally, I'm going to put it on three prongs. The first of which is a mastermind quite literally bends time. We accomplish things in days, weeks, and months that would have been months, years, or never. And that happens because in the right mastermind, we gain access to network, wisdom, resources, and experiences that we could never get at that scale and at that quality and that caliber. So that to me is number one, top of the list. The second to that is this idea that And masterminds, by the way, have been around since the beginning of time. I just happen to believe that we're heading towards or are in the golden age of masterminds. We can
Yes.
find our tribe easier. We can reach the entire globe. I run mastermind groups, with people quite literally at this stage of the game on in 6 or 7 different countries simultaneously. The power of Zoom, what we're doing right now. So there's this golden age of masterminds, but there's a key piece to it that's really important. And it's in the next 10 to 12 years, our world is going to change at a pace that has never been seen or experienced by humanity ever. The reality is, here we're having this conversation looking at our computers. Quite likely in 12 years, we will be, number one, digitally augmented, and we won't need these machines. We'll be able to just do this, looking in our eyes and broadcasting to the people that it's like humanity
Yes.
is going to change in a way that we cannot begin to comprehend. And I really believe that this idea of mastermind groups is helping people do what has been, perhaps humanity's greatest strength, or what we've always done in times of challenge and difficulty, which is we huddle. We come together as communities and tribes. Sometimes the best of humanity shows up in the worst of times. And it's a big mission to me. This mastermind to me is a double entendre. One of which is to get the support, the first-hand support in groups for millions and millions and millions of people, and the people who are willing to actually lead those groups, I want them to be abundantly rewarded as well. So it's not about just money. It's about the communities that need to be built for us to navigate our way through.
Yes.
And then the third part, these aren't short, sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. Because this is really building on the desire. If you have the desire, you need a community in today's world to support you.
Full stop. And then number 3 is that as we become, more connected in this manner, the yearning for heartfelt, face-to-face, belly-to-belly, human connection, and quite frankly, love. Because, to stand for the best in another human being, even when they forget it, is an act of love, is really the core driver of what masterminds are. And if you put those 3 pieces together, is that we can accelerate and bend time to create what we're here. We can, number 2, begin to develop the resources and the access and the communities to cope with the changes that are coming. And number 3, we deliver a family of choice and the experience of intimacy and love. It's just an important project.
Absolutely. Thank you. So as a sidebar, we had Tony Pinnells as one of our speakers, and he was actually at Jay's program. And the power of a mastermind, I don't know if it was Jay that instigated this, but this particular group, Tony was with a group, decided collectively, like at midnight, to joint venture and do a project together to raise money for a school in Africa. And this was and then they said, okay, let's test this theory out. And they did. And they only put 6 hours, 3 hours of actual build and make it work. And they raised $1,500 in like a day and a half. It was like, boom.
Like that. Well, and I love that for anyone who's ever tried to build a course or anything, got stuck and all the rest of it. Literally, they went from idea, we should do it, to building the course, recording the course, setting up the sales pages, delivering it, actually selling it online. All of that happened in fundamentally 6 to 8 hours. And outsold probably 99% of the programs ever developed on planet Earth.
And it's beautiful because they did it collectively, and they from a place of mutual love and respect, they had a common goal and they built it together. So we're way off our 4Ds, but this is powerful in itself, that from your desire, build your tribe. And if you're not if you were the smartest man in the room, get out of the room.
Yeah, you're in the wrong room. There is no question about it.
Unless you're the teacher at the front of the classroom, you still need to be there. But
even then, and good examples like at Mastermind Millions Live, we had, and of course, all knowledge and all wisdom, all experience is contextual, right? But there, we had medal-winning Olympic athletes. We had NASA scientists who actually, built the Voyager space probes. We attract a really amazing group of people that play at a pretty damn powerful level. And anyway, it's just, we should always strive to be in a room where we can learn, where we can evolve, and we can mutually support one another, in my humble opinion.
So correct. If you listen, when you've listened to all 14 of our speakers, you will discover that every single one of them has not stopped their education. And it shows up in different ways. They are at workshops, they are trying new experiences, they're pushing themselves, always growing. So if I'm going to just flip my hat on, I'm the 19-year-old Neil now. So Neil is 19 years old, and I've got this great idea, but I'm stuck. What would you, with all of the wisdom that you've currently collected, how would you inspire me, share with me? What would you say to me to keep me moving so that I could fulfill what it is that I need to do in life?
Boy, interesting question. Now, I just have one question before I say anything. Does 19-year-old Neil listen, unlike 19-year-old Jay?
We're going to say yes. Just yeah.
Because if you listened like me, I'd just say, rock on, carry on, go bang your head.
Yeah. So we're going to assume that Neil, the 19-year-old Neil, is going to listen to some of it.
So on a serious note, though, gang, in a bigger picture, this is, I asked that joke kind of facetious, or I asked that question kind of facetiously, but in a very real sense. I'm getting a little older. I just had my 50th birthday and all the rest of it. And one of my sort of grand getting older lessons is this, is that not everyone, even if they ask, not everyone is actually willing to do the work. And honest to God, if people aren't willing to do the work, I'm not willing to give the support. It's just as simple as that. It's like, if you're going to do it, and this includes clients that pay me substantial amounts of money, it's like, you can't talk to me again until you go do what I told you to do. And if you have no intention of doing that, then we just don't talk anymore, because I won't do that. And it's kind of funny. It's like, well, but I paid for coaching. Yes. So do what I said, or we don't coach anymore.
Yes.
Anyway, so that's a sidebar about this piece, but I think it's unbelievably important when we're talking about this idea of success is stop wasting our breath, stop misdirecting our time, stop trying to, you can lead the horse to water, you can't make him drink, those sorts of things. So just like do the shit that works. Anyway, so back to this question is twofold. Number one is this. If you're truly stuck, the first thing that I would ask people to do is get clear about their mission and is this action, is this behavior, is this goal actually in alignment? It's sometimes the truth of the matter is that the reason we're stuck is that we're doing something that is out of alignment and ridiculous that we shouldn't be doing in the first damn place. So let's start at the top of the list with an alignment check. Now, do the alignment check and it's like absolutely on track. Yahoo, Choir of Angels. That's
yes.
Now we've got to ask the next question is, what's causing the stuckness? Because if this is about external circumstances and conditions, is that we've got to just understand one fundamental truth, which is the universe tests us all the time. And if in fact you say it's in alignment to your mission, and we've done this alignment check and that's true, but there's some external structural pieces that are causing you some difficulties, and that's the excuse, then you best either step up or let go of it, because the truth of the matter is that external condition has nothing to do with what your mission is supposed to be. So get your ass in gear. Now, in that process,
I like that.
well, and in that process, that generally takes getting some support. And this is the thing, when I wasn't joking when I said I didn't listen worth a what at 19. Like
Yes.
my rebellious nature made me a problem, and it probably still does. But if I look back at the strategic times in my life, honest to goodness, I probably could have created much of what I built. And let's, if we were to talk about the course that you took and the organization we built here in Calgary, I probably could have accomplished that in 3 to 5 years instead of 15 years. But I was unwilling to, number one, truly genuinely let myself accept support. And number two, I didn't search at a high enough level for the support that I wanted. And if you're really going to live your mission, there's got to be that support. So to me, alignment, universe is tested. You got enough courage to deal with it, do or don't, get support. And then to me, the thread through all of those pieces that has to be there is our own internal work of continuing to face our own beliefs, face the alignment to our mission, face the releasing of what I'll call some of our core negative programming, and step up with courageousness to the obstacles, challenges, goals, and opportunities that exist in our life. And that thread is, I'm going to say one last thing about it, Neil, that is don't take ourselves so freaking seriously about any of it. You know, what we think and what we believe is primarily a bunch of made up shit, and a bunch of projections that really don't pile up to a hill of beans. If we're going to believe something, we might as well believe something that actually supports us to feel better and supports us to create and supports us to contribute. And if we believe something that doesn't fit in those three categories, we best get busy changing what we believe. And that's probably the most important work under the sun, that, you know, is the umbrella or the encompassing idea of the 4 steps I said. So I hope that helps, but that was a longer answer than I think you were looking for.
It was perfect and it's beautiful, because really, when we get rid, like, if you're going to have a thought, why not have a positive thought as opposed to all the crap that we carry? Like, if you're going to carry things, carry good stuff.
Hell yes.
Yeah. So I want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule, because I know you've been traveling, you just got home, and you're getting ready to go again. So, so thank you for being part of the 4 Ds of Success. And we look forward to actually physically connecting and maybe doing a coffee or a tea in the near future.
That would be fantastic, Neil. And I really appreciate you having me and making space to squeeze me in around my nutty schedule.
No worries.